Hi, my name is Kalesha Bullard. I am a research scientist at DeepMind, and actually that wasn't quite my talk title. My talk title is Exploring Cooperation and Alignment. So this is a quote that came from a recent position paper that articulates levels of artificial general intelligence and says that it's an important and sometimes controversial concept in computing research used to describe AI systems that learn at least as capable as humans at most tasks. But the key thing I want to highlight here is that AGI is typically defined in terms of individual agency. So there's an opportunity to recognize that in biology, we actually have a lot of agency that we get through collectives. So here's two examples of collectives where construction workers are coming together to build, huge buildings and at a larger scale, really complex structures that increasingly enable other humans. Here in particular, this is planful cooperation because you'd have like architects that will be like designing, for example, things for the complex structure. This is also now a picture of collective agency in biology where the collective agency emerges. And I think this is an important example. So on the left side, you have ants that build a bridge for other ants to walk over. And on the right side, this is supposed to be depicting immune cells that launch a coordinated attack to kill a cancer cell in the body. So one of the things I really want to highlight here is that when we come together as collectives, new affordances and new tasks and new skills, new agency is born from that. And so this is important, I think, for us to capture when we're talking about artificial general intelligence, and particularly artificial superintelligence. At some point, we believe that we'll have, people are already starting to talk about in the news, we believe that we have AI agents that will be able to not only do things collectively, but do things in ways that surpass human intelligence. And so it becomes really important to figure out how to capture that. So some key questions. When we're able to reproduce or able to produce, whether planfully or emergently, collective affordances and capabilities that are beyond the level of any individual agent, so one question, which is more philosophical and good to think about, do we analogously begin to move beyond AGI towards artificial superintelligence? And what I want to build on here is how can we align this highly capable collective in terms of values and outcomes when agents have differing individual skills or capabilities, and they may also be multiple objectives that they need to satisfy. And so I'd like to discuss one potential framework that I've used in some of my research that might be used to help structure the way we think about cooperation and collective agency. So cooperative game theory is actually an entire branch of game theory, less well known for effectively partitioning agents into collectives. So the underlying premise would be that you get more value when you have agents and collectives than using them individually. And so the game formalism that I want to highlight here is coalitional skill games. So you have tasks, skills, and players. Every player has some subset of skills. Every task has a skill requirement. And importantly, a coalition can only perform a task if they have the skills necessary for that task to be performed. So if a task requires skills 1 and 2, the coalition has to have those skills. And the coalition's value or reward is a collection of all of the tasks that it can perform. So here's an example. So let's say you have these different abstract agents, and S sub ID is the agent's skill set, and the colors tell you the different agents that are synonymous. And so you have 3 different tasks that these agents need to perform. You don't need to pay attention to what the tasks are saying, but they each require certain skill sets. And then task reward is analogous to, or is some combination of importance and complexity. So one way that you could partition these agents is to have every agent working together, which is like the idea of individual agency. The challenge here is that if you look at the coalitions and the tasks, there's only task 2 is the only task that any of the coalitions can do, and 3 of them can do those tasks. But what happens is that we have a lot of player skill sets not being used. Here, if you put all the agents in the same coalition, it's a bit better, but really what we want to do is partition the agents into teams so we can optimally maximize their skill sets. And so what I want you to notice here in terms of the biological systems is that here even agents have different skills or roles and are being leveraged differently. And so when we talk about being able to partition agents in the best structures, it's really some optimal combination of coordination and distribution of the tasks. And so if you recall this, which I don't actually expect you to recall it, but just as a reference, here what I'm effectively saying is now if you want to add in some kind of cost, like let's say you want to trade off the effectiveness of tasks with the cost of, like safety costs, for example, you can add in a multi-objective function here. So the key things to note here is that this idea of cooperation and multi-agency presenting novel, unexplored challenges for AI alignment, it being critical for AGI and ASI as it is for biology, and the cooperative game theory offers us a formalism to allow us to best leverage multiple agents and partition them and distribute them, but also enable them to coordinate so that we can make the most of them. Thank you.